Hey everyone, welcome to the Week 12 Start Sit Show. 6 teams on by. I know we'll have a lot of great questions this week. Definitely we're digging deep. Programming notes for next week. Thanksgiving week's coming up. There's 4 games, 3 on Thanksgiving, 1 on Black Friday. I'm doing a special Start Sit stream Wednesday. I'm looking at my notes here. Wednesday at noon Eastern, because there'll be 8 teams in play, and you may need start sit questions. So again, we'll do one on Wednesday before Thanksgiving, noon Eastern. Sunday, we'll do the same show, but obviously it'll be 4 games in the hopper already. There'll be plenty of streams throughout the week. Tuesday and Wednesday, I'll have a number of them going over things for week. So remember to check out the YouTube channel and definitely consider liking and clicking the notifications button. All right, let's get rolling here. Obviously, inactives will come in about 11:30 Eastern, which is 40 minutes from now. So if your questions have revolve around like Adam Thielen, who we think is going to play, or a few other players that are borderline, I'll give you my answer in real time, but obviously that could change. All right, I think I got a super chat question, so we'll start with that. You got Chris. All right, Chris, you got 3 questions. Half PPR, Murray or Bo Nix? The Raiders are down 2 corners. Ja'Cory and Bennett, their right corners out. Nate Hobbs, their slot corners out. So certainly there'll be no restrictions in the passing game. I also think, although the Raiders had a great out as a good run defense, I don't think it's problematic. I think the Broncos could play with a lead, so I don't know how much they have to air the ball out here. I don't know if the Raiders are going to be able to put up many points here. So it worries me about Nix a little bit, because I think he may not be needed a lot in this game. When he is needed, he could be fine. I tend to think that Kyler Murray, and if you look at Kyler Murray's fantasy points since week 5, they've been really good. The Bears game was terrible. They blew him out. They didn't have to throw. That's why Murray didn't play well. That was the Bears too. It might not have been great. So look, I expect Seattle looks better on defense. I'm going to give them that. But I think this game scores some points. I'm going to give Murray the edge here. I think Murray is needed more than Nix is needed. Otten or Hockenson? So the Giants are really good against tight ends, and Mike Evans is back. So I think those 11 targets that Otten was seeing, I think all of a sudden we're going to see that number pop way down, and it's a bad matchup. Hawkinson's playing about 48% of the snaps. He had, 2 targets one game, 3 of the other, and 9 in the other. The Bears aren't great against tight ends. The Bears are middling, and I think the pass rush is on and off. So I think Hockenson has a decent floor. And I think Otten's matchup is enough to scare me away over Hockenson. I'm going to give Hockenson a slight edge. Or trust your gut on that one. And then you have Mike Evans. And again, I get it. Sometimes you don't want to play players from the same team, but I just look at it as fantasy points, and I just, if I think the 2 guys have the highest fantasy points, I'm going to put them in, even if they're on the same team. It's a good question. You need 3 of them: Evans, Neighbors, McLaurin, Harrison, or Jennings. All right. So for this one, I'm playing Mike Evans. From what we hear, all we got to go on is he's a full go. He shredded the Giants. Now, I know Tristan Wirfs left tackles out, and that's going to hurt the pass protection a bit, but Evans is probably getting his targets, and Mayfield's been great this year. So I'm going to play him. McLaurin, I have to play. He's been down to 2 of the last 3 games, although he had 2 touchdowns, 2 catches, 19 yards 3 weeks ago, but they're playing Dallas. And this is a green light spot for McLaurin. It has to be. And then for the third one, it's tough because Jennings I'm going to put out in this one, because I think now with no Brock Purdy, and the secondary is good for the Packers. I know Jair is not in, but they contain things. So I would probably push him to the side on this one. That leaves you at Neighbors and Harrison. Harrison had been used better in recent games. But remember, that Bears game was bad because they didn't throw the ball. They blew him out. So Neighbors is close. Now, we don't know what we're going to get from Tommy DeVito here. But I think it'll be better than last year because he's the offensive line this year. Last year they were the worst, one of the worst ever. He knows the system. But I'm going to give Harrison Jr. the edge here. I do think Harrison Jr. matches up well. They're running more slants for him, and I think that's going to be a good way to attack Seattle. So I'm going to put Harrison as that third one to go with Evans and McLaurin. All right, we got super chat caught up. Let's go to the live questions today. Julia, Daniels or Hurts, full PPR. So Daniels, I don't know if the rib injury is completely clear. He's had 3 tough matchups in a row. It's possible against Dallas. And I just advocated for McLaurin because I think he's the one receiver, regardless of what they do, he's going to be fine. But the overall passing game, they might not need him a lot here. It could be a McLaurin game, but Daniels doesn't go off. They can run the ball down Dallas's throats. And I think they're going to do a lot of that. So I'm going to go with Hurts. I think Hurts has many more paths to having a bigger game. And he's been used so much at the goal line lately. Hill or Sutton, oh, man. Look, Raiders are down 2 corners, like I said. Again, I don't know how much Denver has to throw it here. Tyreek Hill, at least he's had 72 yards in 3 of the last 4 games. And I know Sutton's been around there too. I'm going to give Hill the edge here. I just don't know how much Denver's going to have to throw here. I think even if they lose, it's a low scoring game. If they win, they could just be dominant on the ground and not have to throw a lot. I'm giving Hill the edge there. Jay, good morning to you as well. You need a wide receiver, tight end, and a flex in PPO. I got a super chat here. After Jay, I'll get that super chat. If everybody out there, if you want to get to the front of the line, you use the super chat function. There's a tiny number in the corner of my screen. It's difficult to see. When I see it, I click it. So sometimes I get it in 1 minute, sometimes I get it in 5 minutes, but I get it. But I'm looking for it. But just so you know, if I don't immediately answer a super chat question, it's not because I'm ignoring you. It's just because I don't see the tiny little number that's like that in the corner of my screen. All right, Jay. All right, you got Waddle, QJ, Christian Watson, Goddard, and Otten. So I'm going to go with, you know what? I can't play Waddle right now. It's really a ceiling of 40 yards. I think he had a 50. He had more than that last week, but it's basically a ceiling of 50 yards, and that's rough. Quentin Johnson counts on busted coverage. He's gotten a lot of those busted coverages, and the Ravens bust coverages. So, I mean, for that to work, it could work again. Watson's tough because he had the game last week, but he's normally in the 30-yard range. So I'm going to go with Goddard and Otten here. Otten, again, he's going to lose some targets, and it's a bad matchup, but I think he still gets you 4 catches here. So I might rethink that one. I'm going to Goddard for sure. Goddard for sure with no Devontae Smith. Yeah, I probably still going to go with Otten. And then I'm probably going with Quentin Johnston because odds are Chargers can't run the ball on the Ravens. They're going to probably have to score a lot of points. Johnston is going to get probably a little more than usual 4 targets. So I'm going to go with those 3. If you want to go boom bust, though, sit Otten and play Watson. That's your boom bust. Charvarius Ward's out. Not that he'd be locked down on Watson anyway, but it's one. And Nick Bosa's out, so that could give them more time for downfield play. So if you want some ceiling there, sit Otten and play Watson. Waddle, I wish I could recommend him. I got a super chat. All right, here we go for the next one. Flex, full PPR. Hopkins, Chuba, Stevenson, or Pittman. So Stevenson doesn't have the best matchup, and I do imagine they're going to probably fall behind. He's been great. It's just that sometimes he doesn't get enough work and he doesn't get goal line work. Pittman, it's a tough one. They're playing Detroit. And Detroit, they're down a couple of corners, but they did get Carlton Davis back and Emmanuel Mosley's back from the IR. So they're probably a net positive with that. So Pittman's tough because he doesn't do a lot with Richardson. Between Chuba and Hopkins, I think that Jonathan Brooks gets the Miles Sanders role first week, which is 7 and 9 touches. Chuba gets his 15. They're playing the Chiefs. The Chiefs are a bad matchup, but that doesn't hurt Chuba Hubbard. Doesn't hurt him because game script, he's kind of agnostic to it. He'll get passes if they're behind. They won't probably be ahead. So I think at the end of the day, Hubbard gets it done, and garbage time is his friend. I like Hopkins this week, but I think Chuba Hubbard is kind of game script proof. And I if you think Jonathan Brooks is going to be a massive factor, then play Hopkins. I tend to think it's going to be the Miles Sanders role walking in, which is significant, but it's his first game. And I would tend to go with Chuba there. And then, Scott, I got you for a super chat. Here's a good morning to you, Scott. Need 3. Watson, Abdullah, Kraft, Slayton, Palmer. So, first of all, I'm going to downgrade Slayton this week. Look, Daniel Jones had a really good connection with him for years. You saw those like 700-yard seasons. He had like multiple ones with Daniel Jones. I don't think DeVito unlocks that part. I think that one isn't going to go. So I'm going to rule him out. And we got to rule out one more? 1, 2. I think you have to play Abdullah because Abdullah's going to get some volume. It's a nasty matchup, but he catches passes. If they trail, which they probably will, he could catch 4 or 5 passes. So I think you got to play him. Kraft's tough because he often gets like 3 or 4 targets. He has a couple 6s in there, but it's usually like 3. But and then we saw last week, 17 pass attempts. Now with the 49ers, they don't put Fred Warner on tight end. So we're not worried about that one. That they don't do that much anymore. So I think he's okay there. I think with no Nick Bosa, that's going to allow more time to throw. So I would tend to say this. Palmer's a tough one because he's really like the fourth option in the passing game. I think Disley's even more involved. Palmer really has to get like a big play to hit. So I'm going to go with Abdullah. I'm going to go with Kraft, and I'm going to go with Christian Watson. Again, I know last week was an outlier for him, but again, I do think with the 49ers injuries, that's probably the way I shaped that one up. All right, let's get to the live questions here. I got to speed it up for you guys too here, guys and gals. All right. We got Disco Dave. There you go. All right. Passing yards, 2 for 300. Rushing yards, 1 for every 50. 6 points for touchdown. Richardson or Smith? This is a good one. Richardson is so here's what I like about Richardson this week. They're playing the Lions. The Lions play one of the highest rates of man coverage in the league, and they blitz. What does that mean? First, it means the corners turn their backs on the quarterback, so there'll be easy opportunities for Richardson to run. And this dude's 244 pounds, so it's not like when he could put the whoop on somebody who's like kind of playing passive, which is going to passive to the run, and so that helps him. The other thing is the blitzes. How do you break contain? You run. So if he sees a lane, he's probably just going to take off. My guess is Richardson has a great chance, and they're going to trail. They're going to likely trail, and he's going to have to do some things. He'll make mistakes. The Geno game, it's weird. If you watch the games, he gets production, but it's like always in garbage time. And I don't know if there's garbage time in this game. It's the weirdest thing because he's a good quarterback, but if he doesn't have to do something big for fantasy, he doesn't. And the Cardinals get undersold on defense. The Cardinals, they throw a lot of confusing looks, and they've been better than the sum of their parts. I'm going to go with Richardson here. And Dave, good morning to you as well. I love it. All right, let's see what else we got here. Delroy. All right, see what we got here. Half PPR, pick one. DJ Moore, Smith and Jigba, Bateman and Wandale. I think you got to play Smith and Jigba right now. The last week he got all those targets with Metcalf. The prior week when he went off, there was no Metcalf. But I think they're really expanding his role in the offense right now. DJ Moore was good last week, but Minnesota, they're going to probably jump on those screens a lot. They last year when they played the Bears, they tried screens and it didn't work. And Bateman, I think the Chargers are not a good matchup for him. The Chargers play the 3 safety dime look defense. I don't think it's a big game for Bateman here. Wandale, I kind of like Wandale as a floor play, but I think Smith and Jigba's floor is much higher. I'm going to go with Smith and Jigba there. I got a super chat question. I'll come back to Delroy's next one. We got Ray, full PPR. You got Reed, Jennings, and Myers. I'm worried about Myers here. If he's on Surtan's side, good luck. Riley Moss is playing great. That pass rush is insane. Can Myers compile? Maybe. But there's a decent chance with they got Trey Tucker and DJ Turner. It may just be, Surtain, just go on Myers. You just shadow him. They've done it. They've shadowed with him before. If they shadow him, I don't see how Myers wins. So Jennings, I'm worried about because of the change in quarterback. The defense has to approach Brandon Allen way different because with Purdy can make those downfield throws. But I think Brandon Allen, and there's not much, 2020 he played last regularly, but defense has got to say, you know what, we're going to sit down underneath and make him win over the top, and that's going to hurt Jennings. So I think Jennings does not have a big ceiling here. And I think his floor is not high enough to play him over Reed. Reed has had bad games. He's had some 2 for 20s. But no Nick Bosa, more time to throw. No Charvarius Ward. Now Reed plays a slot a lot, so it probably isn't a massive one. But again, it's just a net sum thing where they got to play the outsides a little differently. I'm going to go with Reed in this one. It's a good question. All right, back to Delroy. Akers or Singletary? I got to go with Akers here. Akers has been like 9 to 12 touches in the last 3 games. Singletary, I think, is like 6 to 8 off the top of my head. I think that's about close. But the whole difference here is Singletary against Tampa, nah. But Akers, the Bears are not a good run defense. They're very good against the pass, but you can run on them. And they've rotated him in. He's got like 30% of the snaps. So, yeah, I think Akers has more volume, and he has a chance of seeing something in the red zone too. So, yeah, I would go with him there. Unite Santini, DJ Moore, or Pittman. So I just threw shade on Moore for somebody else, but compared to Pittman, they schemed up a ton of looks for Moore last week, and they didn't throw up much in the second half, but it was a start. I think Moore is going to have to be at least a focal point of the Bears offense, where he's not a focal point for Anthony Richardson. Based on that, I think Moore is the way we go here. I think Moore is going to have a good floor. And look, Minnesota, they blitz a lot. If Moore gets going after the catch, there's a good chance he breaks one in this. And I think that gives him an edge here. All right. Richardson or May. Yeah, this one's close. May's like 23 fantasy points in 4 of his last 5 games. He's very, very good. Miami's been better on defense. Obviously, they lost a lot of people. Their pass rush isn't what it was. I still think Richardson, though. I said you heard me explain about Richards before, so I'm not going to go and break that whole thing down again. But the man coverage and the blitzing, I think he runs for a lot here, and I think he runs for at least a touchdown. I'm going to give Richardson the edge there. D Hopper Tank Dell, man, Tank Dell. I worried about this. Teams playing zone, and the Titans are going to play a lot of zone, and Dell is not the same player as last year. Hopkins has had 2 down games. But I think J.C. Horn is not an issue for him. Hopkins is way too physical for him. I think Hopkins goes here. I think Hopkins gets you 6 or 7 catches. I think he gets you 60 to 85 yards. I think he has a decent chance to score. I don't know how much they need Tank Dell here. I think they probably have. And I know Tennessee's numbers are against the run are good, but I think Joe Mixon has a day here. And I think they got Collins completely back on page. I'm giving Hopkins the edge here. I think his targets are higher. I think he has a better chance to score. Delroy Bateman or Wandale. This is close. The guess I'm going to go with here is going to be Wandale. I guess I do expect to see. So they get Giants get Thibodeau back. They got Burns and they got Dexter Lawrence. I think they're going to be able to get some pressure. I got the wrong team. Other side of the ball. I'm sorry. Todd Bowles. Todd Bowles is going to blitz them. He's going to blitz them. And what's Tommy DeVito got to do? Well, we got to get the ball out. Well, Robinson, we've said this all year. Robinson's kind of that guy when a team's going to send a lot of pressure. Well, you get it out. Here's your hot read. Well, it's Wandale. So, yeah, I think Wandale's a player. I think he has a good floor this week. He's going to be very, very useful for DeVito, I would imagine. Got another super chat question here, and then we'll get back to our next one. Man, the screen just pops all over the place on me. All right, let's see. There we go. All right. I got to come back to Jason after the super chat. All right. OG Bobby, morning to you as well. You need a running back, a receiver, and a flex. You got Hopkins, Swift, Jennings, or Bucky Irving. So you heard me just explain DeAndre Hopkins. I think it's a great matchup. I think they're going to throw him enough to be successful. Swift has a nasty matchup, but I do think there's opportunity for him. The Bears, the run blocking. I loved last week how they got him in that touchdown run. They pulled some defenders out. They just sealed the edge. Swift will get used as a receiver. I think Swift has a good floor for you here, and he has a decent chance of finding the end zone. Again, Minnesota's tough matchup. And I like Bucky Irving. Bucky Irving, I think that in this game, Tristan Wirfs left tackles out. I think that's going to mitigate the pass pressure a little bit. And not mitigate, but expand the pass pressure that Mayfield's going to see. I think they got to get the 2 running backs going. And the Giants have gotten worse and worse and worse against the run as the season's gone on. I'm going to sit Jennings in this group. And I know he's been red hot. But again, you heard me say earlier, I think with Brandon Allen, I think the defense is going to walk it down. And they're going to tighten up that short area. And that's going to make it a little tough for Brandon Allen. So, yeah, I'm going to move Jennings out of this one. I think it's a real CMC-centric game plan here. So, yeah, we'll go with running back, receiver, flex. Yep, we got it. Hopkins, Swift, and Bucky Irving. All right, to the live questions. We got Jason. Morning to you as well. Need one for a flex and half PPR. You got Jennings, Moore, Javonte, or Dowdle. It's always going to be risky with Javonte because it's what we saw 2 weeks ago. And if he doesn't find the end zone, which he usually doesn't, the ceiling's not real high. But it's like I mentioned with Jennings, I don't know if the ceiling's going to be there in this game. Rico Dowdle, Washington's good enough against the run. I don't know how much he does. I would favor Williams, and the Raiders' numbers against the run have been good. I don't think it's a problem. Their run blocking is really good for Denver. I'm going to give Javonte Williams the floor edge here because I think there's a decent chance he scores again against the Raiders. All right, next question. All right, we got Disley or Hawkinson. And then you need Swift, Hubbard, or Javonte. All right. So at tight end, Disley had the game last week. Now, when I was looking at my notes earlier, his last 4 games, he had a couple of games that were like clunkers too. And I know Hawkinson had a clunker last week. I think Hawkinson, they're both potentially be involved here. I think that Chargers game shoots out. So I think there's going to be a lot of passing here. Hawkins is playing about 48% of the snaps. One game he had 9 targets, the other ones he had like 3 and 4. But the Bears are a good matchup to attack. I think Hawkinson has a safer floor, but I think Disley is your boom bust play because he might do nothing. But again, against this Ravens team, yeah, he could score a touchdown. Banking on a touchdown is tough. But I think Disley has a better chance of scoring a touchdown than Hawk. So if you want the floor play, and it's a pretty good floor, I think you got like a 7-8 point floor. It's Hawkinson. Disley's floor is like 3, but he also I think could get you 12 if he gets one down the seam again. So you got to decide if you want safe or boom bust. And then your running backs, I'd be inclined to go with Hubbard over these. Again, I think that Jonathan Brooks takes on the Sanders role. If you don't agree with that, then default over to Swift. They Swift had the next most volume of this group. But I think Hubbard's the one. Hubbard's pretty much game script proof. He's going to see screens if they're down. He's going to run if they're ahead. All right. Just big back. Yeah, people get in early for questions. Definitely the truth. Kevin, good morning. Do you need the following in a PPR? Remember, everybody has to jump the line. You could use the super chat function. That's the way if you are time pressed. All right, morning, Kevin. Good morning. You need a following in a PPR. 3 for Dobbins, Irving, Pollard, Jacobs. So I'm going to go with Jacobs. The 49ers are not great against the run, and you really can't sell out against Green Bay because they have good enough passing game. And I'm going to go Bucky Irving. I think the matchup is great. The Giants have been very poor against running backs, and he gets his 12 touches a week. For the third one, it's going to be between Dobbins and Pollard. And honestly, they both have tough matchups. But I think the Ravens matchup's kind of oppressive for Dobbins. He broke a run late last week. Beautiful for him. But it's not been an efficient running game. And the Ravens are going to dominate the interior. So I'm going to tend to go to Pollard because Spears is out. With Tyjae Spears out, we saw Pollard, his touches were really limited the last 2 weeks, and then he was overworked. But he has to go back to that 18, 20 touches. And he's shown all year when he gets that volume, he eventually breaks 1 or 2 good ones. And I think against Houston, he can do that. So I'm going to sit J.K. Dobbins here, although he has obviously been, one of the best of that group for you all season. And then the half PR, Monty, Dobbins, Hunter, Henry, you need 2. I'm going with Monty for sure. And Monty, you got to play him. I always have him around my top 12 running backs. Just his goal line looks, he gets regular work, great offensive line. Of the other 2, this one's a little on top of Dobbins. This one's a little bit tougher. It's always tough to trust a tight end. Like the one Henry's been great, like 5 of the last 6 weeks, and then the 1 week we were saying start him, be like 2 for 20. So you got to say Dobbins has a bit safer of a floor. He probably gets 3 targets in this game. And I don't know that Henry has this like massive upside. So I think Dobbins' floor is better than Henry's. So I think you end up going with that route in your half PPR. If it was full PPR, it'd be a little different, but it's not. That half PPR downgrades Henry enough. All right, see what we got here. We got Harvey's next. Standard scoring, Hubbard, Moore, Javante, Jamo. Jamo, the drill with him. If he breaks a long one, he's gold. Now, he did get targets the last 2 weeks. His targets earlier in the season, the first 2 weeks, it was 20 targets. Then he's getting like 1 to 4 targets a game. Then the last 2 weeks, they kind of perk back up. He's definitely an upside play against Indy. But if they don't need him, they might not throw him the ball a lot. So it's a nerve-wracking one with him. I think you got to go Hubbard in this one in standard scoring. His volume is, I expect to be there. Again, if you believe Jonathan Brooks is going to be in, then maybe you think other, but I think Brooks is going to kind of get Sanders' role, as I said 3 times. So Hubbard's in. And I just get this feeling of a DJ Moore this week. They're scheming him up against the blitz that he could get something after the catch and break something long. Williams is safer. Your safest 2 are Hubbard and Williams. And Javante Williams. They're your safest. In terms of the upside, I think the biggest upside is Jameson Williams. I would play him over Javante. I do like DJ Moore, but given the other choices in the matchup of Minnesota, that's kind of where it's at. I got some super chat questions while you're at the Ethan. All right, let's see here. OG Bobby, J.K. Dobbins or DeAndre Hopkins in the flex with PPR. As you heard me say, the interior is going to be hard for Dobbins to run against Baltimore. That the interior line for the Chargers is not very good. Their tackles are nice in pass protection for sure. Hopkins, this is a good matchup. I don't know how much they need to throw, but I think he's going to be a pretty fair factor here. I'm going to go with Hopkins here. I think Hopkins has the upside here. I think Hopkins has a reasonable floor. I don't think it's a 2 for 20 game. And I think Dobbins is really, in a situation where you might be looking at 45 yards. But if he doesn't score a touchdown, you know, again, he might catch a couple passes, like I said, but I think Hopkins catches enough pass, gets you 70 yards. I think Hopkins is the way to go. Better chance of scoring too. Andrew, good morning to you as well. Hunter Henry or Laporta? Henry's been more stable. He gets more targets. Laporta's had a couple 6-target games, so that certainly helped. Um, Henry's safer. Henry is safer. Laporta is going to need a big play to cash, but I think Henry gets you a good base of points. That's the way I'm going to go with that. Laporta just isn't seeing the target volume, and I expect that Hunter Henry's going to probably have game script in his favor too. I think Miami plays with a lead here, and if that's the case, May's going to have to throw. I hate that they throw the ball. Was it Austin Hooper? They're throwing him too many passes, but Henry gets enough. Rashad White or Bucky Irving. Oh man, I got him. I probably got them right next to each other in the rankings. I'm sure I got them like really stacked on each other. I'm trying to see right here. Small. I got White a couple spots ahead. White plays more snaps. The touches are almost even. I would probably give White an eyelash advantage here, but that one could go either way. Standard scoring. I just noticed the standard scoring part here. Well, you know what? Standard scoring. I'm probably going to go Irving. I'm probably going to go Irving with the standard scoring because I think White catches more passes, but that doesn't help you. So yeah, I think that standard. I always do PPR on my sheet, so I think that flips it. I think Irving and standard, yeah, that flips it ahead. All right, let's get the live questions. Let's see where I was at here. It always makes me lose my spot when this happens. We're about 13 minutes away from inactive, so somebody's asking questions that are revolving around that. Let's see if I answered that one. Ethan, there we go. I think I'm on Ethan here. Good morning, Ethan. Half point Dowdle, Deontay. I assume you mean Johnson or Estime. I assume you mean Deontay Johnson. If you mean Deontay Johnson, he's like not getting snaps and he's like barely getting targets. So if it's Deontay Johnson, he's out. I got to go with Dowdle here. Estimate. I think the more I look back, I think it was that game against Kansas City. They wanted to grind the chains. They wanted to try to win a low scoring game, which they almost did. And I think that was their mode because they went right back to Javante. If you saw the touches last week, they were close to even. Estimate was garbage time. He had very little when the game was in question. When it was over, they pulled most of their starters. Estimate was on the field. I'm going to go with Dowdle. I think Dowdle gets significant volume here. All right. Next one. I need one for the flex and full PPR. Jennings or Dobbins. Yeah, this one's close, and you've heard me throw plenty of shade on Dobbins today. I just, again, I'm really finding it tough to trust Brandon Allen with Jennings. And in the game plan, like I said, I think it's CMC centric, maybe even Kittle centric over the middle. I don't know if they want him throwing to the perimeter a whole lot. In this case, I think Dobbins has a safer floor, so I'm going with it. Ethan, I'm going with the Broncos here. It's very hard to think the Raiders could move the ball on them. The Broncos are an elite defense, and they show up every week. They bring pressure. You can't pass easily on them. I'm going with the Broncos there. And I get that the other one's against DeVito. I get that, but yeah, I just, it's very hard to sit the Broncos. They're a playmaking unit. JSN, Rashad White, or Brooks. You're already starting Metcalf. Again, I think Smith and Jigba is a big part of this offense. I think they've kind of unlocked his role, and I think his floor is like going to be 7 targets, ceiling 10. So I got to go with him there in the full point PPR. Ethan, that's too broad of a question. I don't know. You have to throw a few options out, and I can help you. You look at my rankings. If you see somebody I have like with green, like green means there's an upside play. Definitely look at that. Oh, and by the way, those are new to the stream. If you see all these rankings are where I have players, but if I have a player in red, there's potential downside. Like I have Mike Evans in red. Why? Because what if they pull his playing time? I don't think they will, but they always play that game. So I have him ranked as my wide receiver 10, and I'm starting him as my wide receiver 10. But I just want you to understand, like if you're doing prop betting and you're doing DFS, there's unrealized downside. And if you're green, I see some unrealized upside based on the matchup. And Ethan, you're welcome. All right, Delroy, 49ers or Bears defense. You know what? No Nick Bosa, no Charvarius Ward. I got to go with the Bears. And look, Sam Darnold will make some mistakes for you. You always got to count on Sam to help out your team a little bit. Tua or Drake May? New England's a pretty good pass defense. and they haven't unlocked Tyreek, and they certainly haven't unlocked Waddle. I'm going to go with Drake May. Drake May runs to a dozen. And I think Drake May's going to have to play with a deficit, which means the Dolphins could be running and the Patriots could be passing. So that'd be my differentiation there. YouTube user, half point, PPR, 2 or 3. Tyreek, McLaurin, Evans. Oh, man. Ooh, that's a tough one. If McLaurin didn't play Dallas, I would go against him, but I can't. This has got to be a McLaurin game, right? Even if Jaden Daniels has a big game, McLaurin would be the only receiver, but he should get it done. He should get you 80 yards. He should get you a good 40% chance at a touchdown. So I got to give McLaurin my shot here. And between Evans and Tyreek, there's downside with Evans. Like I said, if they pull him. If they, they limit his snaps and they lied to us, very possible. But I'm starting Evans and McLaurin here. If you're worried about Evans maybe being a snap pulled, then put Tyreek in. You're not going to lose a whole lot. But yeah, Evans has kind of owned the Giants in the past. Anthony Servino, my RotoWire teammate, had a nice tweet about that. I reposted that the other day. Running back, Rachaad White or Javonte, your half PPR. This is close. Rachaad White is a really good matchup. The Giants have gotten worse against the run every week. Williams, he's a good running back. I know he got pulled 2 weeks, so I don't understand it still. I'm going to go. I think Rachaad White's a little bit higher. I think that the Bucs are going to have more success overall. That it's a coin toss. Trust your gut on that one. Is my rankings? But they're probably fine for you guys. They're small for me to see, but I got Javonte at 22 and I got Whitey. That's full PPR. So half PPR narrows that gap a bit. But I think White's just a tick better. If it's my lineup, yeah, I think I know White's role's established. I think that's the big thing. Whereas Javonte, why take the chance if they pull the rug on him again? And then standard Hubbard or Reed. Reed has the upside, but we know the floor is so low. Hubbard is going to have a solid floor. He's game script proof. And even with Brooks there, I think he's game script proof. So you want safe, go Hubbard. If you need a 20-point game, I don't think Hubbard's getting that. Reed can get that here. Willie, again, he's a tiny low floor. But if you need upside, go with Reed. If otherwise you want a safe play, just go with Hubbard. Vinny, morning to you as well. 2 questions. Need to sit one. Lamb, Evans, Downs, or Hopkins? Oh, man, that's a tough one. Need to sit one of those, huh? Really hard to sit Josh Downs. He's had his last 2 games at Richardson have been phenomenal. And I think with the man coverage that Detroit plays, I think that's fine for Downs. I think that's really a benefit for him. You know what? I got to sit Hopkins. Now I've talked up Hopkins. I love Hopkins this week. I can't sit Evans and Lamb. And Lamb last week kind of showed us. Lamb can figure out a way to get it done. And Dan Quinn's against him here. I get it. I can't sit Lamb and Evans because they could turn something from nothing. Whereas I don't think that's going to be Hopkins' deal. So, yeah. And Josh Downs, just can't sit him right now. He has been too good for too many weeks. Akers or Abdullah? Joe, I got to go with Abdullah here. It's a terrible matchup. He's a good receiver. They're probably going to trail. Abdullah probably catches 4 or 5 passes. Akers, you're hoping for a touchdown. And if Akers doesn't get a touchdown, I don't think there's enough there. So I got to go with Abdullah for that reason. I think I got a super chat question before Jeff comes up. Oh, you know what? This just said there's no question with it, TJ Pollen. So if I can get a question with that, I'll be happy to answer it. But and I won't be able to find it in the stream because I probably got a couple hundred questions in there. So I'm sorry. But as soon as I see it, I always answer. Where am I at question-wise here? I got Vinny. I got Joe. Or I got Jeff Marcus. Hurts or Daniels? It's tough. Daniels finally has an easy matchup. But do they need to throw a lot? They might not. They might be able to run the ball on Dallas' throats and contain the game. So that said, I think Hurts has many different scenarios to have a big game. Daniels has more scenarios where he's not needed. So I'm going to go with Hurts. Henry, Tank Dell, Jonnu Smith, or pick up Dallas Goedert. It's really hard to put away Jonnu Smith right now. It's real easy what they're doing. They've got the speed of Hill and Waddle. The defense has to deal with that, so they have to keep things over the top. Jonnu Smith's open underneath, and Mike McDaniel keeps dialing up these catch and run plays to him. And so those aren't going away. A defense isn't coming in saying, well, we better take Jonnu Smith. No, They got Hill and they got Waddle. The numbers for Waddle tell us don't worry about it, but clearly he's not doing that because teams are worrying about him. So I got to go Jonnu Smith for the floor here. Tank Dell, the word "do," I get it, but I think I always thought I'm not going to carry on all day about this, but as soon as they cut all three of their fullbacks in the preseason, I go, well, they'll see two high shells all season now. Last year they never saw them or rarely saw them. So Dell gets too high, the big plays ain't going to be there, and that's a problem. So I'm going to go Jonnu Smith. All right, Richardson, May, or Tua. Like I said earlier, I'm going to go with Richardson in this one. I all the man that Detroit plays, the blitzing, it's just tailor-made for a big running game for him. May is safer. May is safer. If you want a high floor, May would be safer. I think Richardson could have a big game here with the running. I think it could be a big running day for him. Rahendra, full point PPR, Love or Herbert? I got to go with Herbert here. I think the Packers, their smartest path is to lean heavy on Josh Jacobs. 49ers aren't good against the run. Herbert, they're probably going to have to throw. I think the Ravens are going to score easily. And I think that the Chargers aren't going to be able to run the ball. And that Herbert's been amazing. I think they're going to have to, he's going to have to throw a lot in this game. I like Herbert. Pittman, Dobbs, I think you mean Romeo Dobbs, D-O-U-B-S? Yeah, probably. Or Watson. I like Dobbs in this. I told people to sit Dobbs last week, and I'm glad I did. But this week, Charvarius Ward's out. They really, and Diameter Lenoir will play outside sometimes, but I don't think that's a problem. I think Romeo Dobbs has a good high floor for you this week. I think he has a fair chance of scoring a touchdown. Your boom bust play is Watson. Of course, that's always going to be the case, right? Like last week, came out of nowhere, 4 for $150. So Watson's your boom bust play. But if you want a high floor with a reasonable ceiling, I think it's a Romeo Dobbs. Chris, morning to you as well. Need a receiver and a flex. Deontay, Amir, Noah, Pierce, Henry, Vele, Schoonmaker. You need a receiver and a flex. You got some good options actually here. I do think, again, I think Abdullah's catching 4 or 5 passes here. And they should trail him. He's a good receiver. And with PPR, I think that helps him. So I like that. And Vele is interesting because Vele plays mostly the slot, and Nate Hobbs, the slot corner, is out. Even if, and he won't shift out that much, but if he does, Jacorian Bennett's out the other corner. But I don't know how much Denver has to throw. So I'm going to say it this way. Abdullah, I like. I think Pierce is your boom bust play because against that Detroit defense, he can get the deep ball. I do believe he can get that deep ball this week, and that'd be big. He can score a long touchdown, but that's a tough one to bank on, right? So if you want the highest floor play of the remaining, then it's going to be Hunter Henry. Hunter, all but that one game, I think 3 weeks ago, he's normally right around double-digit PPR points, and he could score a touchdown here. So I'd go Abdullah and Henry, but if I want to swing for upside, I might sit Henry and play Alec Pierce because if they're trailing, they might take some shots to him. Chuba or Bucky. That's a close one, right? Like Chuba will get more volume, but he has a much, much, much tougher matchup. I definitely have. I'm going to see where I have in the ranking. I definitely got to have Chuba ahead of Bucky. I'm trying to see where I have Chuba. I have Chuba at 19, and I got Bucky at, so I guess see right there. They're real close. PPR, Bucky catch a few passes. I'm going to give Chuba. I'm going to stick with my rankings on this one. I think Chuba's game script proof. So we're going to roll with that. We're a couple minutes away from Inactives. I'll try to check as those get posted to see if I can add any insight here. Jeff, Hunter Henry, Austin Eckler, DeAndre Swift, Juwan Jennings. I'm going to go with the running backs here. Eckler, Dallas is horrible against the run. Eckler, and I know he gets a lot of his work as a receiver, but I do think Eckler could score here. Both running backs could be involved. DeAndre Swift, a bad matchup, but he should get volume. Chance to score. I'm going to go with the running backs for the floor here. And Henry's ceiling's not high enough. And Jennings, like you heard me say, I'm kind of worried about Brandon Allen and, really stretching the outside. And I know we can run in breakers. I get that. But I think they're more likely to use the slowed up Debo on those as opposed to Juwan Jennings. Chris, Jennings, Westbrook, Akine, Thielen, Demario Douglas, Devon Vele. Caterco, who's a slot corner for Miami, I don't know that that worries me here. I do think they're going to have to chase a few points here. I think your best floor play of this group is Demario Douglas. Vele, I like. Again, I just don't know how much they have to pass in this game. Thielen, I'd like to go with him here. I'm waiting on inactives too. And I really want to see if Coker's inactive. That's going to be part of that deal because I don't. Coker's like 6'3", 208, but he's been playing big slot for them. I assume Thielen walks into the slot role, and Kansas City gives you the middle of the field. They just give you that. They're cool with the tight ends. They're cool with the slot beating you. So I just am not sure what Thielen's role is going to be. So the safest one is the Mario Douglas, and I would probably just go with that. My gut tells me Thielen's right back in the slot, and my gut tells me that he's going to be involved and they're going to trail. If it's my lineup, I'm going to trust my gut and go Thielen, but my rational mind says Demario Douglas is safer. I think I got a super chat before I get back to Vinny. I do. All right. Pick one. Dobbins, Jennings, or Worthy. The most stable floor of this trio is Dobbins. Again, a couple catches, probably 40 yards on the ground. Worthy's your boom bust, especially against Carolina. I could see him getting behind the defense. I could see him on a reverse taking something, but he's risky because he hasn't had many good games. If you want a safe floor, go with Dobbins. And it's a moderate floor. It's going to get you 8 to 10 points, probably in that range, maybe 7 to 9. But I think if you need to look at your upside, you got to swing for defense. Then you got to take a shot on Worthy because something could happen here. Schefter, we got anything on Schefter here? No, you just put an actives on here, trying to see what we're getting here. All right, so good question there. All right, and let's see if I can find where we left off question-wise here. I think I left on Vinny. This one's close. You know what I'm going to say on this one, Vinny? I'm going to say Dowdle because Dowdle has a more bankable volume role. I look, Javante, I think he's great. But again, after getting that rug pull 2 weeks ago, I rationalized it off, but it could be a thing. So I think Dowdle should be fine here. Dowdle should have volume. He should have a good game. Take the save points because you've got a player with no questions. You got a coach on the other side for Javante with questions. So until that's completely flushed out, just stick with there. Disley or Jonnu. Look, I love Disley's big game last week. It wasn't as big as Jonnu's game. I think Jonnu is a fundamental part of that offense. So I am going with Jonnu Smith. All right, we got Max. Appreciate it, Max. Always appreciate the support. Yeah, Mario. Love Mario. Yeah. All right. Heard about Keaton Mitchell. No, haven't heard anything on that. And it was interesting because was it 2% of the snaps last week? So you would think at some point they're going to get him involved because now at 7-4, they're not in like pole position anymore for like anything. Right now, they'd be playing all their playoff games on the road. So, but I don't know what Mitchell's true health status is. I don't know if he is still working his way back. So, no, I haven't heard anything about more work. Justice Hill, we know Harbaugh loves that man for whatever reason, and he's going to keep using him. So, yeah, until we see it, it's kind of the way it is. A couple inactive things before I get back here. Keenan Allen is active. Be careful with Keenan Allen. He has an ankle injury, and we've seen this guy. He's well over 30. Whenever he plays nicked up, he looks slower than usual. I am very concerned about Keenan Allen. Could he have a game? Yeah. His history shows in the last couple of years, when he plays at less than 100%, you're getting far less than 100%. Malik Neighbors is active. I'm not overly worried about him. I think DeVito's going to get him the ball. He's going to get his 8 targets, maybe 10 targets. I think there's a PPR floor there. I don't know how big the ceiling is, but look, Tampa Bay does not have a good secondary. So, and so they do get, I think they get Jamel Dean back today, maybe. That sounds right. No special inactives for the Washington Commanders. Houston Texans, nothing exceptional there. Mike Evans, we know, is playing. Again, we expect him to have a normal role. Just we really don't know what that is. All right, more inactives as they come. We'll get those going as I see them more. All right, so continuing on here. I think I got the super chat caught up, but let me just double check. Yeah, I'm caught up on the super chat. All right. All right, see what I got here. I got Bill up there next. All right, Bill, good morning to you as well. If you're hearing the show yesterday, I'm Mario, undecided about your PVR running back to Estime, Akers, or Gus. It's a nasty matchup for Gus. The interior running game against the Ravens, that's a bad matchup because that interior line for the Chargers is not very good at moving the pile, and that's where the Ravens are like stout. So you're hoping Edwards falls in the end zone. Estime, like I said, I don't see it. He had garbage time carries last week. Now there could be plenty of garbage time against the Raiders, so there's that. Estime could get it going in garbage time, but if they don't get out to a big lead, you might not get a lot of work. Akers is getting like 8 to 12 touches the last 3 weeks. They'll pass him the ball a little bit. You'll see it in the red zone. The Bears are not a bad matchup against the run. I'd give Akers the edge here. If your gut says Estime, go with it because there could be garbage time there, but it's kind of hard to predict that. Oh, Jalen Coker is inactive. So Adam Thielen, wheels up on Thielen because listen to this. I don't think they elevated anybody in the practice squad history. So that means they have 3 wide receivers on their roster. They got Liggett, good luck on the outside against Kansas City. They got Thielen, and they got David Moore. If you're in a super pinch in a really deep league, David Moore could get you 5 PPR points here. So there's that. But Thielen, now, he should see targets. Adam Thielen should see targets today. And if the Chiefs have a big lead, again, they give you the middle of the field. I like Thielen here. No Jalen Coker. So if you're counting on Coker, nope, no go. Injured his quad in practice on Friday. All right. Oh, I got a super chat. Then I come back to Bill. All right. Pick up Stafford or roll with Nix or Mayfield. You know why I don't like Stafford this week? Because when he's been under pressure, it's been a real problem. And the problem with that line is the pass blocking has not been good. Man, Jalen Carter's been wrecking the pocket this year. And Stafford under pressure doesn't look good. I am not excited about this game. So I will Nix. It's really Nix has a good floor here, but I don't know how much they need to pass. So I think that Nix has like boom bust because if they get a lead and they're running, he may not have to do a lot here. Mayfield has been great all year. And the pass rush is going to be decent. Tristan Wirfs, the left tackle's out. That doesn't help. But it's really hard to go away from Mayfield. But I don't think Mayfield has a massive ceiling here. I think he gets you like 225, decent chance of 2 touchdowns. Nix is boom or bust because if somehow this game goes off the rails and the Raiders somehow figure out they can move the ball in Denver, which I find improbable, Nix could get in the situation where he puts up points. I think Mayfield's safer. All right. Laporte and Oliver. I'll check for more inactives here. Let me just take a quick look here. It's that time. We got to get on these now. Yeah, Vikings tight end Josh Oliver. We knew he wasn't playing. Not a big deal here. We knew the Cowboys, Trevon Diggs, the corners out. Deuce Vaughn inactive for what it's worth. Zeke Elliott might see 4 touches in this game. We know Luke Schoonmaker's in for Ferguson. Schoonmaker probably gets you 4 catches here. So if you really need help at tight end, you could do that. We knew Tyjae Spears would be out for Tennessee. That boosts Tony Pollard's stock. He gets obviously way more touches when there's no Spears. DeAndre Swift is active with the groin injury. Expect him usual role. Probably gets you about 18-inch touches, so we're good there. As of right now, that's what I see. If some more comes in, we'll take a look. All right, let's get back to the other questions here and see where I'm at. I think am I on Bill's question? Bill's second question? All right, Bill's second question. Herbert or Murray? I think I got Herbert rated in my quarterback 3 here. And I don't see too many scenarios where he bombs her because Baltimore's not been good against the pass. And they stuff the run. I think they're going to have to score a lot of points here. So I'm going with that. I'm going with Justin Herbert, and he's been playing great, and I think he continues it here. Yeah, and then by the way, with the weather, guys and gals, if there's not 15-mile-an-hour plus winds, it's nothing to sweat. Rain is an advantage to the offense in every other scenario, unless it's a monsoon. If there's a monsoon, different ball game. But there's, as far as I know, no report on that. The wet weather favors the offense almost every time. If there's slipping going on, the offensive player knows where he's going. The defensive player has to play reactionary, which means unclear footing. So, but the weather, look, it rains in Seattle. Because it rained probably most games, right? So I wouldn't sweat that. I think the wind was 6 miles an hour. So yeah, that's not an issue for me there. All right. Dave Richardson or Gino. Yeah, I'm going with Richardson here. You probably heard me say earlier, again, all the man defense and the blitzing. Richardson, it's a game for him where he should be able to run. All right, let's see what we got here. Jay Z, good morning. Half PPR. JSN or Harrison. Oh, that's a tough one. That's a tough one. Harrison's been used much better, although they didn't have to throw the ball much against the Bears, so he didn't do anything there. I'm going to give Harrison the edge here. I think Harrison is going to be needed in this game. Smith and Jigba has a great floor. His floor is probably safer than Harrison. I think they're going to need Harrison here. I think they're going to need him in this game. I think there's going to be some scoring, and I think that's going to force the Cardinals to be a little more aggressive on offense. Trust your gut on that one. It's super close, but I like Harrison there. Pollard or Tracy. You know, Pollard is a much tougher matchup. Tracy doesn't have an easy matchup, but it's better. I'm going to give Tracy the edge here. That's a great question, dude. These are real good. Goff or Richardson. So Goff threw 49 times this week. Usually when they blow out a team and they win, he throws 22 times. I think he threw 49 times because he came out the 5 interception game, but I think they wanted to make sure his confidence was good. I'm going to give Richardson the edge because I think his floor is higher in this one. I think his floor is higher. I don't think Goff's going to that 49 pass attempt game. I think that was just, like I said, I think that was a real statement for what they needed him to be at that point, and he wasn't. All right. All right, next question. Full PPR pick 2. Neighbors, Jennings, Downs, Johnson, Laporta, or Jonnu Smith. You're picking 2. I can't sit Josh Downs. And his last 2 games at Richards have been excellent. So very tough to go against him. So, yeah, I'm going with Josh Downs. And you know what? I got to go with Neighbors. I know DeVito's the quarterback, but he has a better offensive line than last year. He knows the offense now. Dable's going to scheme up targets. Didn't have Neighbors last year. He didn't have any good receivers. So I'm going to give Neighbors a high floor edge here. I'm going to go with them. Terminal sarcasm. Appreciate you, man. Richardson or Love. Oh, man, that's a good one, too. Love's tough because no Nick Bosa, that's going to help. No Charvarius Ward again, personal matter, I believe, with him. So, I mean, the matchup is nice, but you can run on the 49ers. And Bosa's a good run defender. And that part of that, they miss him as well. And I don't know how many points the 49ers are scoring. I don't think this game shoots out. I think Richardson's got to chase points here. I've got Love rated higher, but I don't know how much he's needed. I think Richardson has a similar floor. I got Love rated higher, but I almost feel Richardson's always gonna be risky, right? Because we've seen him. We've seen it this year. We've seen it. We've seen 4 games where he was like awful. So your safe play is Love. That's your safe play. You safe play. You'll get a decent floor. You get a moderate ceiling. But Richardson could have a game here on the ground. He could get you 70 yards on the ground. He could run into. I could totally see it in shootout mode. So if you got to swing for the fence, then go with Richardson. Otherwise, just go with Love and be safe with it. R Red or Disley? Who do you mean? Oh man, do you mean maybe Jaden Reed or Disley? If you mean Jaden Reed, look, Disley had the great game last week, but his typical ceiling isn't high enough to play him over Jaden Reed. So I'm going to go with Jaden Reed. And I know he hasn't been very good, but he does have a 113-yard game like in the recent past. And 49ers, again, they're down important pieces here. So yeah, I would go with Reed in that one. I assume that's who you mean. I hope. All right, next one. Pick 2, full PPR. Henry, Komet, Dobbins, McConkey, Robinson, or Jennings. Pick 2. I got to go with McConkey in this one. The Ravens have been terrible in pass defense, and even if McConkey's in the slot, which he plays a lot, Marlon Humphrey is not playing like the way he did last year. And I think they're going to have to throw a ton. So I think he's fine. And it's always tough to trust a tight end because the volume could dry up at any time. So I'm going to say Brian Robinson is my next one here because they're playing Dallas, and Dallas is like terrible against the run. So I'm going to go McConkey and Brian Robinson here. So you need a tight end, though. You need a tight end. You see, at least one tight end. My tight end would be Henry. So I would order him. I think Brian Robinson, I'd have ahead of McConkey here because he could run for 85 yards and a touchdown, and maybe even a second touchdown, right? So yeah, so if you got to put a tight end, I would go Robinson, and I go Henry. Other than that 2 for 20 he's been money for like 5 of the last 6 weeks. You know, Komet swing for the fence, and he's had a lot of like nothing in the last 5 weeks. So here's that. All right. Did I answer this one already? Hold on. I lost my spot. Here we go. Here we go. Lee's up. Morning, Lee. Appreciate you. Thank you for listening to the XM shows. That means a lot. I'm so honored to have a forum like that on XM. You have no idea how grateful I am for that. Love the RotoWire team for giving me these opportunities. Anyway, half PPR, need a receiver and a flex. Christian Watson, Quentin Johnson, Chuba Hubbard, and Romeo Dobbs. Receiver and a flex. So here's the deal. I think Hubbard has he pretty much game script proof. Again, Brooks is back, but I just think it's Miles Sanders. I could be wrong, but Hubbard's kind of game script proof. So you roll with him. And then for your next one, I think Dobbs has a good floor here. No Charvarius Ward, no Nick Bosa. I think the outside passes are there this week. And last week I told you to sit Dobbs. Maybe not you specifically, but somebody. But I like Dobbs this week. Now, Dobbs may not have a big ceiling. If you want to take a swing for the fence, he doesn't get a lot of targets. But Quentin Johnson's been living on broken coverages. And man, the Ravens bust coverages about more than anybody. Every week they're blowing coverages. And the Chargers might have to score some points. So I go Hubbard and Dobbs. But if you got to swing for the fence, I totally could see Johnson having a big play. All year the Ravens have busted coverages. So, and Justin Herbert, he finds it like that when it happens. So there's that. Half PPR, 2 receivers and a flex. So it means you need 3 players. You got Rashad, Debo, Dell, and Downs. I'm probably sitting Dell here. Debo, look, he hasn't looked good, but they need him this week. He's got to get manufactured touches, I would think. Peppers are down a linebacker too. The rookie's out. I know my name evades me. I apologize. I know these things, but answering a million questions, I guess I have. But yeah, their rookie linebackers out, and I think that helps the middle of the field for Debo. I can't sit Downs. Downs has been incredible with Richardson the last 2 games, and Rashad White has that great floor, and the Giants' run defense has not been good. And so I'm going to go with them. I'm going to sit Dell. Could he have a big game? Sure, but it's very hard to predict that coming. And he hasn't been a consistently solid player this year. Seen a lot of too high safeties, and that's really taken away a lot of the steam on him. Not the same player this year either. Steve, PPR Superflex, need to sit one out of Tommy Cutlets, Pop Douglas, and Jameson Williams. If you got to sit one, I'm probably sitting Pop Douglas. I just don't think the upside is there. Well, all right, let's put it this way. I'm starting the quarterback because he runs too. Douglas has a floor. J-Mo has a ceiling. J-Mo could get 3 targets and not catch any of them. Douglas is probably getting you 4 catches for 35 yards and maybe a little more. So if you have to have some floor, it's Douglas. I like Jameson Williams this week. I do, but again, there's a low floor. But I do think he makes a big play this week against this Indianapolis defense. Taylor, Dobbins, Robinson, you need 1. I guess you should mean Jonathan Taylor here. It's a bad matchup for Taylor, but he's Jonathan Taylor. Brian Robinson has the cake matchup of them all. Dobbins is not in this equation in a bad matchup for him. I'm going to go with the superstar. I'm going with Jonathan Taylor here. It's very hard to sit him. And I know it's a bad matchup, but he plays like almost every snap. Robinson has a better matchup. If your gut says Robinson, do it. And I know Taylor hasn't had a great game every week, but the volume is just too hard to pass up. Disley, Wandale, Ertz, Bateman, Watson, you need 2. Again, I think Wandale's going to be a check down king today. A lot of blitzes from Todd Bowles' defense, and I think DeVito's have to check it down. So Wandale probably is in that spot. Of the other ones, I'm inclined to look at Disley. Again, there's a low floor, but they're going to have to pass. Ravens have not been good against tight ends. Ertz, I don't know if they need him here. Bateman, I don't like the matchup. The Chargers have been good against marginal receivers. No offense to Bateman. Watson, too many floor games. So but here's what I'll tell you. So I'm playing Wandale. If you want to go boom bust instead of Disley, because Disley has a moderate ceiling, nothing great. Watson could have a game. So if you want to go with the high risk, high reward player, play Watson over Disley. But Disley should have a floor in this one. The matchup sets up. All right, let's see. I got a super chat question before I come back to Steve. Or no, I think I answered this one already. No, I'm in good shape here. I answered it already. All right. See where I'm at here. Steve. All right. PPR need 2 out of Slayton, Noah Brown, Josh Palmer, Amir Abdullah. Thank you for recommending hit the likes. I do appreciate that, everybody. All right. So I'm worried about Slayton because he doesn't have Daniel Jones. Slayton always had a great connection with Daniel Jones. I don't know that DeVito's going to be cutting it up downfield to him. Noah Brown, don't know how many targets he needs in this game, in a game that Washington should have a lead and control. Palmer, it you need a big play, and if you don't get that, you might get nothing. Abdullah's in. Abdullah's in. For your second one, Noah Brown is the best floor of this group. Brown probably gets you 3 catches. He probably gets you 40, 45 yards. So I would say trust him. But if you need to go for somebody that might have a big game, I think Herbert's have to throw a lot. Palmer could end up getting a big play out of it. He's your boom bust play. But I would go with Abdullah and Noah Brown. All right. Sarah Densmore, full PPR, Andrews or Kraft. I got to go with Andrews here. And I know he's had a couple down games, but this matchup sets up very well for him. The Chargers play a lot of that shell look, the 3 safety looks. The seam is going to be valuable here. And I think Lamar is going to have a day here because ultimately the scheme is real nice for the Chargers. But at some point, like you saw in the second half against the Bengals, at some point, the dudes on the field make a difference. And I think that's the case here. I think the dudes on the field for the Ravens, that defense is going to be exposed because they don't have that level of talent to deal with them. So I'm going that route. Kraft doesn't get enough targets. That's simple. He had a couple 6 targets, but normally like 1 to 3. It's just too low of target volume. And so that said, I'm giving Andrews the edge. They both have ceiling. Aaron Jones or Josh Downs? Oh, Darren, that's a good one. Tell everybody you can't sit Josh Downs. Aaron Jones hasn't been great the last 3 weeks. Now, 2 weeks ago, he had 100 yards from scrimmage. The Bears are a good matchup against the run. I'm going to go bankable volume here. I'm going to go bankable volume with Aaron Jones. If your gut says Downs, I get it because Downs has been brilliant. There's going to be a week he doesn't score. Is this the week? I don't dislike the matchup, but if that blitz gets going, Richardson could freak a bit. You can't go wrong either way. You got a wonderful situation in a 16 bye week thing, but I'm going to go with the bankable volume of Jones. And he hasn't had a big game in a while, so I completely get it. It's a great question. All right, let's see what we got here. Laura Jim Cooperman in PPR, Disley or Kittle? You know what? I've seen Kyle Shanahan get production with lesser quarterbacks over the years. And that includes Jimmy Garoppolo. No offense, Jimmy Garoppolo, but it is what it is. I'm going Kittle. Because it could be schemed up plays for him. Kittle could be the guy that, they have to count on. And the over the middle throws are much easier than the perimeter throws. I can't sit Kittle. Cannot sit Kittle. And I get it. It's a great question. Flex, Quentin Johnson, Amir Abdullah, or the tight end I didn't pick. Abdullah's going to get some volume here. It's a bad matchup. He probably gets you 40 scrimmage yards. He probably gets you 3 to 4 catches. It's always tough to trust a tight end here. Quentin Johnson lives on busted coverages, and like I said, the Ravens bust them all day long. So I'm going to say this: I would prefer to go with the running back over the tight end because I'm going to get a little more volume here. So I'm going to say Abdullah for floor, but if you got to go boom bust to that second one, then Quentin Johnson because again, Ravens always bust coverage. Let me check the inactive, see if anything new came up here. Those who use kickers, Austin Seibert, as expected, is going to play. Nothing notable for the Dolphins. Patriots, we kept hearing back about Christian Gonzalez. He's playing. Cornerback's playing, so nothing to worry about there. The Colts are, again, from the beginning of the year, they're now in 3 linemen. Will Freeze, the right guard's been out for a while. Ryan Kelly, the center, has been on IR. Bernard Raymond, their left tackle's out again. So, again, I think it's like I think Richards is going to run quite a bit here. So, I think, but those that asked questions about Jonathan Taylor earlier, if you're still here, that could be something to consider in the Jonathan Taylor one. And I knew these linemen would be out, but if somebody had Brian Robinson or Taylor, that could be enough to move the needle toward Brian Robinson in a great matchup. Patriots, KJ Osborne, we know he rarely plays every once in a while. We knew Sam Laporta was playing. Nothing notable otherwise, so we're good here. All right, see how we're doing our questions. All right. Yeah, the questions don't look overwhelming. So we got plenty of time. So all right, we're gonna get rolling here. All right, no super chat, so we're okay here. George, you got full point PPR Jones or Tracy. Oh man, I think they see similar volume. I think Jones is a much better matchup. Bears are great against the pass, they're not against the run. Tracy has the opposite thing. The Giants are facing the Bucks. The Bucks are pretty good against the run. Sometimes their numbers are weird, but they're a good run defense. I like Aaron Jones here. I like Aaron Jones. I think the matchup's better, and I know last week wasn't very good. It wasn't very efficient. I'm going to go to Aaron Jones there. And then George, yes, that one. All right, so we're good here. All right. Killa Cole, trade Chris Olave for Buck. I would. I would. I don't know. There's no guarantee Olave comes back. I hope he does. But there's no guarantee he comes back. So, yeah, at this point, take points. Take points. Irving is a running back value there. He's going to get you that, 9 to 12 touches a week. Whereas Olave, man, and Derek Carr just lays him out in the middle of the field. Yeah, make that trade. Quincy, Lamb, Debo, Jennings, Kupp, or Disley. Sit one. I usually be inclined to say sit the tight end here. Again, I'm worried about Jennings with Brandon Allen. I just don't know how much they're going to make Jennings a focal point against CMC, scheme up Debo, little Kittle. I think with no Purdy, that hurts Jennings. So I'm going to sit Jennings out of this group. Jennings probably has a better floor than Disley. So if you want just sheer floor, Jennings probably gets you 6 points, 7 points PPR, which could be higher than Disley's floor. So there's that. But I think Disley has a better chance of having a game against his Baltimore team. But if you want just pure floor, play Jennings over Disley. All right, next one. JKM. Hey to you as well. D3, Jennings, Reed, JMO, Harrison, Dell. That's a good set of players you got there. I think Harrison, like I said, they've been running him better on routes. They didn't need him in that Bears game, so he didn't do anything there, but that wasn't his fault. I'm going to go with Harrison here for sure. Number 2, I know Jaden Reed's had some bad games. No Nick Bosa. They're going to have more time to throw. I'm going to give Jaden Reed the world there as my number 2. For number 3, here's what I'm going to tell you. If you want a high floor play with a reasonable ceiling of Hopkins, if you just need sheer upside, then go with JMO. JMO Williams, he would have potential for a big play against the Cindy defense, but I think Hopkins is way more stable. My lineup, I'm starting Harrison, Hopkins, and Reed. Calling it a day. Jorge, wow. Most weeks at this point, I would say Odunze, and I wouldn't think twice. Minnesota's going to put a lot of these complicated looks. That's what the Bears have struggled with. And I don't know that Thomas Moore, the offensive coordinator, has prepared them for that. Last week, they didn't have anything confusing to deal with. It was very cut and dried how they were able to move the ball. It's going to be a problem this week. I'm going to give Waddle the edge here. I'm giving Waddle the edge here because I just am very concerned about Minnesota just like completely confusing Caleb Williams and them not having answers other than screens to DJ Moore because they like Odunze for a little more downfield stuff. And I don't know if they're going to be able to get those up. See, the pressure doesn't always get home from Minnesota, but the perception of pressure speeds up the offense, and that's what worries me there. I got to go at Waddle there. Jay, appreciate it. Bye week. I know 6 teams off and injuries. No options. Oh, appreciate it. Well, good luck. Yeah, thanks. I appreciate you being here. Thank you. Means a lot to me. It really does. Check the inactives again. Anything new? Nothing new. All right. Foxborough News. And I have no more super chats, so I'm good. 16-man half PPR. Murray or Goff. And I got to go with Murray here. Look, the whole thing with Goff is, like I said, you heard me earlier, the 49 attempts last week, that's not normal for them. They normally throw 22 times and they're leading. Could he have a big game? Yes. I think Murray's going to have to chase some points here. I think there's going to be a decent amount of scoring. I said, again, it's no wind there. It's just rain. So that benefits the offense. Murray can run. I'm going to go with Murray. I'm going to Murray the edge here. And then you got Dowdle or Eckler. I recommended Eckler to somebody a little earlier. Dowdle's got a better floor. Dowdle, this isn't an oppressive matchup. Now Dallas is down Zach Martin. That's a problem. A little concern there. But I think Dowdle's going to catch some passes. He's going to get some rushing attempts. Eckler, if he's not used heavily in the screen game, there's not always a lot for him. I think Eckler has more upside than Dowdle. I think Dowdle has a way higher floor, though. I think Dowdle's floor is like 8 to 9 PPR points, half PPR, so you're looking 7 to 8. Eckler gets minimized in half PPR. I would give Dowdle the edge because he's safer. I think there's more volume here. Michael, good morning to you as well. Half PPR, wide receiver, Hopkins or Myers? I got to go with Hopkins here. And I got a super chat in a second. I see that. Myers is going to either see Patrick Surtain or Riley Moss, but they could shadow him. And that pass rush is crazy for Denver. I love Hopkins here. He's not going to get 12 targets, but he could catch you 5-6 passes in this one. I'd see Hopkins as having is a great matchup. J.C. Horn is not going to be able to handle the physicality there. Yeah, I'm giving Hopkins a pretty good edge here in this one. Got a super chat. Then I come back to JKM. All right, let's see what we got here. We have got. Oh, I might have a couple here. I'm sorry. I got two. Maybe they just both came at the same time. Oh, so one. Oh, this took me a couple minutes. Thomas, Joseph. I'm sorry. Joseph has been here for a few minutes. I would have gotten it sooner if I saw it. Again, the number is like tiny in the corner of my screen. Joseph, Thielen, or Myers. I want to go with Thielen here. I said earlier, now we have Coker's out. Thielen has a good chemistry from last year with Bryce Young. The Chiefs give you the middle of the field. The Chiefs are probably going to have a big lead. They're probably just going to, go into a shell. Myers, you just heard me say a second ago, don't like the matchup. Great player, don't like the matchup. And if he has Surtain, I just don't see him winning. So I'm going to give Thielen the edge here. Great question. Sorry, it took me 10 minutes to get to your super chat question. I got a couple more here now. Oh, here we go. I got a couple more here. Chris, DFS, head-to-head, half point, DJ Moore, Quentin Johnson. So in head-to-head. So I think Moore is going to get you 6 to 8 targets in this game. Now, the Vikings could snuff out the screen game. They've been using them in design screens. But man, Moore hits a break or something. Quentin Johnson, look, he's getting you was he get 4 to 6 targets, right? He's usually in the 4 range, maybe 6. It should be a higher volume game. He's really lived on busted coverages. Like I keep saying, the Ravens bust coverages every week. So you've got something going there. Moore is way safer. And the rest of your lineup, it depends what you need best in the rest of your lineup. If you basically need a floor play and you want to get some points, Moore has a much more bankable floor here. But Johnson, I think, has that upside because we could see him get behind the defense, and Herbert immediately identifies it when it breaks down. He's been beautiful at doing that this year. So Johnson's your big upside guy, but Moore does have a stable floor, and if he breaks one, I would probably lean DJ Moore after the scheme targets of last week. But again, the upside is there. The other play, big back, Addison, Dowdle, Otten, or Andrews. I think. Addison has a tough outside corner matchup against the Bears, either side of the field. It's not a good matchup for him. And he hasn't had a lot of good games. He's touchdown dependent often. Dowdle has a big floor. Otten, the Giants have been great against tight ends. And with Mike Evans back, I don't know they're going to be funneling a ton of targets this way. Andrews, I think, is the upside play here. I know the Chargers have been great defensively, but like I said, when they last week in the second half, they face an offense with dudes, and this is an offense with dudes. And Andrews is going to stretch that seam up on him. Dowdle's safest. Dowdle should get you 17 touches, receiver, runner, possible goal line. He's the floor play. Solid, great play. I would probably play him. If you got to swing for a little more, I could see Andrews hitting the seam for a couple big plays, but you're risking. But it's a risk. Caught up on Super Chat. Again, when I see those, I get over. I apologize. It takes me a minute sometimes to get to those. All right, let's see where we're at here. I think I am on. Yep, I should be on. Let me just make sure here. All right. Now I answered that one. Just give me a second to get through these. Find where I'm at here. I think I'm on JKM. And then you non-PPR, you need one. Debo, Jaden Reed, or Jennings. So Debo has a higher floor than Reed. They're going to have to get him though, but he hasn't looked good. He has not looked good this year. Reed has real upside in this game. Jennings, I'm the Brandon Allen thing. I'm not banking on him here. So I think Debo has a higher floor. He hasn't shown that explosive. So if you want the upside play, go with Reed as your boom bust. But otherwise, I would just start Debo as the floor and call it a day. But look, if you need 130 yards and a touchdown, Reed's your best chance of getting it, but he also could go 2 for 20. Debo's going to get rushes. He's going to get, pass attempts here. He's going to be involved. So that's the way I would frame it. I think I'm caught up on Super Chat. Yeah, I'm caught up. All right. Let's see here. Michael at quarterback, Love or Knicks? I don't know how much they need Knicks. I have Knicks as my quarterback 12 with upside because they do need him. Matchup's outstanding. I think Jordan Love is a really good floor in this one. No Nick Bosa, no Tarvarius Ward. I think that helps. The safe play is Love. If you know you got to swing for upside, you're going to think the Raiders could somehow figure out a way to make a shootout. I don't think that's probable. That'd be the way. So yeah, I would go with Love. Tracy Myers, Abdullah, or Roshan. You know what? Tracy has the volume win in this group, and volume's king, and you got to ride the volume, in my opinion. Mitch, my teammate. All right, 2 superflex questions: Darnold, Goff, or Knicks? Which 2? Darnold against the Bears worries me. Bears are a great pass defense, and Darnold's making a lot of mistakes these days. Goff, again, last week, that 49 attempts, it's not reasonable, but he'll see his targets this week. I mean, 22 passes, maybe 25. They have a lead. I like Goff in this. I think Goff gets enough done. He's a good floor. And I'm going to go with Knicks. I just talked about Knicks. They might not need him a lot, but he should get enough done. I don't think Darnold's an upside game here. So that's the thing. Where the other guys have possibility for upside. So I'm going to go that route. And then which 2 here? Mahomes. Mayfield. I'm assuming you mean Baker Mayfield. Love you, Mitch. And Jordan Love. I'd be inclined to go Mahomes and Baker Mayfield here. I know Mahomes doesn't always throw a lot. This is an easy matchup. Even if he throws the ball 20 times, there's a chance they could get a couple plays out of it. And Mayfield, he has Evans back. I'm gonna sit Love here. Now, you could consider Love over Mahomes. You could consider that, but I don't know how high scoring this game is. I think a lot of the luster's been taken off of this game with the injuries. So I would tend to go Mahomes and Baker Mayfield. All right, see what we got here. And we got Henry. I don't think so. I don't think there's much to worry about here. Green Bay's not a good run defense. And with the weapons the 49ers have, they can't just like say, oh, well, we're just going to worry about McCaffrey and just let everybody else run free. They can't do that. They'll get crushed by Kittle and Debo if they, So no, I don't think. I think McCaffrey's going to get you what he got you. He's get you about 100 scrimmage yards. He hasn't scored a touchdown, but he's got a chance to do that here. So yeah, I wouldn't worry. I mean, you start him as you normally would. All right, I think we're probably at that point where we're probably going to go faster through the answers to make sure we get everybody covered here. Hopefully, most of these players we've talked about. Armin, morning. Start to Otten, Disley, and Debo. Debo's in because he probably has a higher expanded role. Otten is your floor play. Disley has a higher ceiling this week. Otten has a tough matchup. So yeah, but Otten's your floor play. Disley's your boom bust. So if you want a higher ceiling, go Disley. If you want a higher floor, go Otten. I said an answer quicker, and I never do. I got a super chat. Then I got to come back to CK. OG Bobby, rank for the flex. Dobbins, Hopkins, Bucky. Appreciate you. Thank you. I'm gonna go Hopkins 1 here with the matchup. I do think he's gonna eat this week. I'm gonna go Bucky 2, and I'm gonna go Dobbins 3. The interior matchup is brutal. He has not been efficient. Getting a long touchdown run last week. I just don't see the inside running game going in this one. So I'm gonna put Dobbins as my 3rd. It's a brutal matchup. All right, and all right, let's see if I can. CK I was on. Kyron, Connor, Monty, Stevenson, and Chubb, Taysom, Kincaid, tight end, both on bye week. Trade Monty and Kyron or Kyron for McBride, or just play Shoemaker this week. Yeah, those running backs are more valuable than that. And again, McBride, McBride's been great, but you're going to need those running backs. Look, Connor hasn't gotten hurt yet. Kyron hasn't gotten hurt yet. They have those injury histories. But man, that's 5 running backs. Man, that's 5 running backs. I still don't give up Monty or Kyron. I think that's too much. Play Shoemaker. Montgomery or Tracy. I've got to go with Monty here. Monty's more likely to score a touchdown. Tracy doesn't have a great matchup. Not terrible, but not a great matchup. Indy's been good against run, but the Detroit offensive line, that's a bit of an ask for them. So, yeah, I'm going to go with Monty pretty easily here. Make sure I have the super. I had somebody do a super chat, but there's no question attached to it. So I'm not going to be able to find it in the regular stream where there's a ton of questions. So I'm very sorry, Chubbs McGee. But if you can put a question in the super chat, I will happily answer as soon as I see it. All right. Let's see where we're at here. Again, it's always this thing shot on the screen on me, so I got to figure out where I'm at. I'll need a minute here to find it. I got to scroll through here. There's a lot going on. All right. I'm sorry. I'm still looking through here for, like I said, I got to answer these faster now. My goodness, I cannot find the questions now. All right, let's see where we're at here. And I didn't get a lot of these. I'm looking through everybody, guys and girls. Give me a minute here as we're still trying to find where we're at. I love the super chat, but it throws me way off with all right, here we go. I think I found it. CK. All right. I think we went over the trade before, so we're kind of Stevenson for Jonnu. I would do that. I would do Stevenson for Jonnu. I would do that. Even Hawk. All right. Next question. Downs or Odunze over Pickens and Scary Terry. I would rank them. I definitely over. I don't want Odunze. Don't want Odunze in this matchup against Minnesota. Don't want him there. But Downs is always in play. But Pickens and Terry are going to be much more fundamental parts of the game plans, I would think. So I would probably prefer them. Now Pickens played Thursday night, but if you're talking long, I think you're talking long term. So Pickens played Thursday. So I mean, obviously, rest of season, it'd be Pickens, McLaurin slightly ahead of Downs. All right, Daniels or Herbert. I think Herbert, he's going to be more needed. Daniels could be in a situation where he doesn't not need it a lot. Robert, good morning to you. JSN, Jennings, Lamb. I got to go. In JSN's been great. I got to go with Lamb. There's just so many ways he can get it done. I can't sit him because I saw at least he got it done in a bad situation already. Downs easily on that one, Eldon. Jennings, I'm worried about the quarterback situation. Brian, good morning to you as well. Full PPR, Jennings, Sutton, Ridley, Waddle. You need 2. I'm going to go with Sutton and Ridley here. Sutton and Ridley. Waddle's just been struggling too much, and you're right about Jennings. I agree. Vinny, Irving, or Hubbard? Hubbard gets a little more volume. Matchup is worse. Do I play the other in flex or McConkey? Hubbard and McConkey I'm going to go with. It's very close at Irving on both of them, but that's the way we'll go on that one. Need 2 or 3. Myers, JSN, and Odunze. Going with JSN for sure. Hate the matchups for Myers and Odunze. Both have terrible matchups. So I'm probably getting, and I know the corners out there, but it's the pass rush is a problem for Odunze. So I'm going to go with Myers, my second one. I think they both have having bad games here, but I'll go with Myers there. Brian Upton, choose one for your flex, half PPR, Roshan, Akers, Watson. Akers is your floor play. He's getting like 8 to 12 touches a game. Watson's your boom bust. If you got to shoot for ceiling, I don't think Akers is much of a ceiling here. I think Akers, you're looking like 6 to 8 points. If you need 15, you got to take a shot on Watson. Oh, man. That's a good one. That's a good one. I'm going to give Watson the edge here. I'm really struggling to feel Brandon Allen feeding Jennings. Next one. Hello, flex spot to you. Hello, flex spot. Hello, Goddard or Jennings. I'm going with Goddard. I think with Devontae Smith out, I think Goddard could see in the area of 7 to 9 targets, and I think there's a good big play opportunity here. I might have a super chat question here. Then I got to come back to Steven. Let me see if I got a super chat here. Brian Clark is asking full PPR, Otten or Ertz? Otten has a tough matchup. Ertz, I don't know much you have to pass, but I'm giving, Otten's matchup is bad. I'm giving Ertz the edge here. I think Ertz has had a very good floor. I don't know how much Otten is going to thrive in this matchup with Mike Evans back too. That's going to probably hurt him a bit. I'm giving Ertz a slight edge. Eckler or Demario Douglas? This is a tough one too. Douglas should have a good floor here. They're probably going to trail. Cater who's a good slot corner, but I think Demario Douglas gets the better of him. Eckler, it's tough to call because I don't know how much they need him, but they might not need to throw him a lot in this game. But then again, if Dallas brings the pass rush with Micah, then they might need to dump it off to Eckler a little bit. You know what? I'm going to go with Eckler because of that reason. That Parsons could force some screen passes, and then we can see Eckler take one a long way, and that could put him over the top on Douglas. So that's the way we'll go with that one. All right. Steven, Would I start Waddle over Odunze if you're already starting DJ Moore? Again, DJ Moore gets a lot of like screens, and against that rush, the blitz, it'll work. Odunze's downfield, so it might not. So I'll give Waddle the edge over Odunze here. Stroud or Stafford? I'm worried about Stafford. The interior protection against that interior rush of the Eagles, that's not good. Stroud hasn't been good, but I think Nico gets him going a little bit. I'm giving Stroud the edge here. Damon, Irving, White, or Tracy? Man, you need one. Tracy probably has the volume edge. Half PPR kind of negates White down a little bit. I'm giving Tracy the edge here for volume. Sleek, pull PPR, Disley, Laporta, or Christian Watson? That's a good. You know what? We're going to give Laporta a whirl here on this one. Watson at the big game last week. It's hard to see him doing that again. He's your boom bust guy, though. If you got to have a huge game, he's the only one in this group that can have a huge game. Laporta will be the one I go to. His targets haven't been great, but I do think the Indy matchup is one that they can't really focus on him, so I think he can get things going there. A lot of zone. Do they play a lot of zone? I think that Laporta could take the zone. Richard Gino. I'm going to go with Richardson. Again, a lot of man defense and a lot of blitzing from Richard's opponent. So I think you have the ability to run here. David, RotoWire member, thank you. Appreciate you. Yeah, I cannot disagree with you. Hopkins gonna have a good game, but he can't sit Mike Evans. Look, they cut his snaps. We can't do anything about it. But Mike Evans, man, he's been insane. So yeah, you got to play Mike Evans. Henry or Laporta standard scoring. I'm gonna go Laporta here. I love Henry. Love Henry most weeks. But again, I think with all the zone that Indy plays, I think Laporta has an edge there. Richardson or Kyler? I noted Kyler with downside as my quarterback 6, and I have Richardson also 11, but I have downside because I'm high. But again, Detroit could cause us some problems. I'm giving Kyler this. Kyler's going to run here too, I think. Richardson has more upside. Definitely has more upside. But I think he has more downside than Kyler. So Kyler is safer with a reasonable ceiling. Moore, Boutte, or Westbrook or Kine? I'm going with Moore. They schemed him up well last week. And I think they continue that. Westbrook or Kine scored in 5 out of 6, but that's real hard to predict. I think we answered Stroud over Stafford, Sleek. Oh, I answered these already, didn't I? So let's see where I'm at here. Maybe I'm down. Oh, I answered these. All right, so this thing bounced down on me here. Hang on. So let's answer that. All right, here we go. Joe, Akers or Abdullah? Abdullah should have a little more volume. I'll give Abdullah a brief advantage because I think he catches more passes. They're going to need him as a receiver, I think. Ladd or Evans, both nursing injuries. You can't sit Evans. They say he's healthy. Can't sit him. McConkey, Evans could go nuclear, but his floor should be high. Ladd is a great match. I'm not sure what the question is, but I would trust them both in lineups. Here's a weird thing, and I'm not saying this, then this is no reflection of being sarcastic. All these guys are hurt now. It's like, it's a matter of what they want to list injury, but everybody's fighting through something, and it's a cross the board offense, defense. It's that's a tough part of handicapping at this time of year, is that everybody's hurt. All right. Next question. Flex spot, Goddard or Jennings? I'm going with Goddard here. Again, with Devontae Smith, I think he becomes a de facto number 2, and I think he does fine here. And I think the answer to that, all right, good. And then Mark, Kittle or Disley? Mark, I'm not sitting Kittle. I know Disley did great last week. I have to think Kittle in the middle of the field. Those are passes Allen probably could make. And Joseph, somebody else had the same question. Hate both matchups. Hate them. I'm going to give Myers the edge because ultimately, if the Broncos get a lead, they might back off a little bit, and that might help Myers. High ceiling. They both have ceiling here. Dallas is terrible, but they have Micah Parsons. J-Mo. McLaurin's gonna get more targets, so he has. Yeah, so McLaurin has, because they both can make the big play. I'm gonna go with McLaurin there. All right, let's see what we got next here. Ken, Jennings or Dell? This is a tough one. Again, I just really struggle to trust Brandon Allen here. I'm going to give Dell the edge here. Dell has a better chance of breaking a play than Jennings does. William, touchdown, heavy scoring, long yardage, longer T, the more the points. All right, more Jennings watch than Hopkins. Goddard need 2. Wide receiver to flex. I do like Hopkins matchup. I think they get him enough going on before the game's got a hand that he's fine here. Compared to wide receivers, a tight end's always tough to trust. I just said that Goddard's a good play this week, and he is, because I do think he has elevated targets with Devontae Smith out. And I would tend to say he has a more stable floor than the rest of these guys. If you got to play for upside for your second one, it'd be Christian Watson. No Nick Bosa, time to develop shots downfield, but low floor. Hopkins, Goddard, and then if you want an upside, pivot Watson for Goddard. Baker or Love? I'm gonna go with, I got Baker's my quarterback 5. Love is my quarterback 7. I think both games are lower scoring. I think Josh Jacobs could have a day on the ground. I'm going to give Baker the edge here. He's got Mike Evans back. Baker's been great this year. That offense has been great. Kudos to the offensive coordinator, Liam Cohen. All right, let's see. Tom, J-Mo or Ridley? Ridley, because of the much higher floor and target share and a reasonable ceiling, I got to go with Ridley. J-Mo could go off on 1 or 2 big catches, but I think Ridley has an equal upside potential, but a much higher floor. Disley or Otten? Otten is a brutal matchup. Disley has an easier matchup. I think that Herbert's going to have to throw a lot in this one for high scoring. I'm going to give Disley the slight edge here. All right. Bama. Good morning to you as well. Half PPR. Rashad White, Tony Pollard. It's close. Because Tyjae Spears is out, Pollard should have an edge in terms of volume. And he tends, when he gets volume, to break something at some point in the game. I'm going to give Pollard the edge in this one, especially the half PPR downgrades. White's receiving a little bit. Quentin Johnston or Watson? I think the Ravens and the Chargers are going to be in a higher scoring game. And the Ravens bust a lot of coverage. So I'm going to give Quentin Johnston nervously the edge here, because I think they're going to need him more than the Packers are going to need Watson. Levis or May? I'm going May. May has like 23 fantasy points in 4 of his last 5 games, and they probably trail, and he runs. And I think he should be fine for that. Will Levis, Will Anderson's back for Houston, and that doesn't help Will Levis. If the more pressure he's under, the worse he gets. Dr. Roberto, Kyler or Bo Nix? So here's the deal. Denver might not need Bo Nix to do a lot in this game. They might control the game defensively and on the ground. But if the game goes sideways, Nix could have a game. But I don't know that's going to happen. So in that case, I go with Kyler, because Kyler can run. And if that game is more likely to go high scoring than the Raiders and Denver game. All right, let me know who's next. Who would you start, McMillan or Leggett? Kansas City's been kind of death on outside receivers. They're much more vulnerable in the middle. So I would be inclined. I don't like McMillan. He hasn't shown me like anything. You know what? I'm going to go with Leggett here. If the Chiefs get a big enough lead, they might just back off. And if they do, Leggett could get something late. I'm going to go with that. And I don't like the matchup, but I just don't think McMillan gets a whole lot done. Especially the pass rush for the Giants could be a bit of a problem. No Tristan Wirfs, left tackle's out. I answer that here. All right. Dobbins, DJ Moore, PP. I'm going to go DJ Moore here. Dobbins is a brutal matchup. If he doesn't get a touchdown, he's doomed. Jennings with Allen, not good. Moore got schemed up last week. The new offensive coordinator, I think, is going to make that a priority. Steven, good morning. Many bye weeks. Yeah, I know. Oh, man, Pickens, I know it's tough. 2 flex at a tight end. Jennings, McConkey, Downs, Dowdle, Disley, Jonnu. McConkey, they're going to have to score points. Downs has been great, even with Richardson, so I got to play them. Dowdle's close. Dowdle and McConkey are close. Downs, I got to play him because of the upside he's had. I guess Dowdle has a decent floor. I'd still play McConkey over him though. And I know he's nicked up there every all the all right. And then John at tight end. John has just been a huge part of that offense. And I know Disley had a great game last week. That's why we're gonna go there. TG. Full PPR. Sit one. I'd sit Quentin. Wait, Q Rich. You got me confused. I think you mean Quentin Johnston, but Rich is Rich is Anthony Richard, but it wouldn't be that. Am I missing something? I don't know if I'm missing something here. I assume you mean Quentin Johnston, so sit him. If it's somebody else, re-ask the question. Yeah, sorry. Harrison or Disley? Harrison. They didn't use him against the Bears. They didn't have to throw. They should be fine. They're using him better. They're using him more on slants. They're using him more. Jay, appreciate it. Happy Thanksgiving, Jay, to you and to everybody out there. I'm doing a special start sit show on Wednesday, noon Eastern, because there's the 4 holiday games, 3 Thanksgiving and a Black Friday game. I know I'll have questions early, so I'll definitely be here for that one. And then Sunday as well. All right, Johnny, flex Lamb. I got to go with Lamb. I cannot sit him because there's so many ways he could get it done. Nick Stafford or Mayfield. I'm going to go with Mayfield. Again, I don't know how much they need. Nick's Stafford interior pass rush is a problem, and Jalen Carter is going to cause us some trouble. Mayfield's been great, and he has Evans back. Thomas, appreciate you. Thank you. Christian, you Tracy or Reed? Tracy has a much higher floor, and he has ceiling potential. And Reed hasn't had a lot of ceiling games. So I'm going to go with the floor play. I'm going to trust a safe floor and say, you know what, bank the points, because Reed just hasn't had many ceiling games. Red and the green, I said earlier, red is always, there's potential downside. Green, there's potential unrealized upside. The rankings are the rankings, but I always have those listed, like friends like Kyler Murray. The Seattle game could be that Mike McDonald's defense has been ticking it up a bit. So there's some downside there. So yeah, that's what the red and the green are. All right, Steven. Good morning to you as well. I think I answered this one. All right, sit one. Nico Evans, Achan, Williams, Tracy, JSN. Oh, wow. Can't sit Nico, can't sit Evans, can't sit Achan. Williams hasn't scored in 3 weeks, but but his volume is like massive. You know what? Tracy gets great volume. JSN the last 2 weeks has been insane. But all that said, he is the one player that might not get the volume of the others. And that's why I said him. That's why I said JSN. Tough, though. All right, next one. Good morning to you as well. PPR. Walker, Gibbs, Connor. Would I put Pollard in? No, I wouldn't. Pollard is a bad matchup. Again, he usually breaks one when there's Spears not, but Walker, Gibbs, and Connor definitely cut above. And Pollard's had too much work this year. That's unfortunate. Yeah, everybody check the forecast in Seattle game. If it's like torrential rain, and that Seattle comes and goes, check the forecast on that. I'm not gonna be able to do it in the start sit stream, but definitely if it's torrential, downgrade the players. If it's not torrential, the wind projection is 6 miles an hour. So as long as it's not torrential rain, even if it's like steady rain, advantage offense. All right. I promise I'm going through these fast now to get you all done because we got like 15 minutes. So I want to get everybody's question answered. Most of these players I will have already covered for you. So here we go. We will go. All right. You have Hill, Smith, Miami defense. You're debating concerning Tua, Kyler, or Matthew Stafford. If a lot of you guys and gals are worried about the rain. Again, check if the forecast has torrential rain. Then play Tua over Kyler. If it doesn't call for like heavy downpour, advantage offense. Go with Kyler. Ertz or Andrews? I'm going to go with Andrews. I do think that the Ravens have no problem scoring points. Chargers have a great scheme. I don't think they have the horses to keep up. Cam Daddy, Goddard, Ertz, or Jonnu Smith this week? Man, it's close between Jonnu Smith and Goddard. Ertz doesn't really have a ceiling. Goddard and Jonnu Smith do. And I am going to probably lean Goddard here. But, man, it's super close. I think Goddard's more likely to score a touchdown in this one with no Devontae Smith. Rest of the season, it's Jonnu Smith because if Devontae Smith is back, Goddard's targets are too tough. Sin City Sorcerer Lopez. All right. Grand Rising Flowers, Flyers, or Kyron. You know what? Flowers had a number of down games, and I do think that the scheme of the Chargers may limit Flowers. Kyron's floor is super high. Ertz or Disley. I think Disley has a similar floor to Ertz. I'm going to go Disley in what should be a high-scoring game. Jordan, need to win, McConkey or JMO. So it's basic for you here. It's McConkey should have a floor. He should get you like 6 for 60 chance to score. JMO could get a big play or two. So if you want to swing for the fence, then go JMO. But McConkey's a great combo play. And he's probably the more stable one. Connor, Monty, Hunter, Taylor, sit 1. Man, Taylor's down 3 linemen. Hunt is losing efficiency by the week, but the matchup is so soft. I'm going to have to sit. I'm probably going to sit Taylor because of the 3 linemen being out and a bad matchup. Kevin, need 1 Hawk, Henry, or Kraft. All close. I'm going to give Hawk the edge. The Bears are great against outside receivers, but not the middle. So I'm going to give that one the edge. Herbert and Baker. I'm going to give Herbert the edge because I think that game is going to be a shootout, and the Ravens are bad against the pass. Which two? Dobbins, Harrison, Jacobs, and Sutton. Playing Jacobs. Jacobs is a good matchup. Check the forecast on the Seattle game. If it's heavy rain, play Sutton over Jacobs. They play Harrison. I'm sorry. You're playing Jacobs. If it's super heavy rain in Seattle, play Sutton over Harrison. If it's just rain, then you play Harrison over Sutton. Dobbins is out in this one. Wait, did I miss a question here? All right, here we go. All right, next one. Dobbins, Jennings, Worthy, Wan'Dale Robinson, full PPR. Dobbins probably has the best floor of this group. He's not a good matchup. He's not a recommended play, but he has the best floor. Your boom bust play is Worthy. I could see him breaking a long play against Carolina and cashing, but there's risk with him. So go that route. Neighbors or Downs? Oh, man, that's a tough one, Vinny. Downs been playing at an elite level. Neighbors has a new quarterback. Trust your gut. I'll go with Downs because he had 2 straight good games, and they probably trail here. Hey, Josh, circa $1 million team is the top 100. That means our team. 8 picks off the lead. You've been Josh Viscai is the ace in sports betting. Brock Bowers plus 240 for touchdown catch. Good odds. If the Raiders score a touchdown, it's probably Bowers who's scoring it, and there could be garbage time. And Denver does back off late in games, so I like it. I love it. Joseph, Abdullah over Ramondre, Dobbins, Taylor, Eckler. No, I don't think so. Dobbins is close, but he has a better chance of scoring a touchdown than Abdullah, so I'll go that. Next one, Dobbins, Jennings. I think I answered that already. Hopkins, got to go with Hopkins here. He should have a opportunity in the matchup suite. Don, Pittman, or Myers? I don't like Myers on probably a lot of Patrick Surtain this week. I'm going to give Pittman the edge here. I think that Brooks in his first game, guess what? Miles Sanders rose to 7 to 9 touches, which is significant, but Hubbard was used to that. He was already seeding that. So I think that it remains that way this week. Now, next week could be a different story. Jeff, Myers, Quentin, or Wan'Dale. Oh, man. I think Wan'Dale is a floor. There's going to be a lot of blitzing. He's been the hot read. He's a good floor. But your boom bust play is Quentin because the Ravens bust a lot of coverages. Ramondre or JMO in your flex. Ramondre has a much higher floor. If you need 20 points, then you have to roll the dice, boom bust on Jameson Williams. But I think Ramondre can get you 12 to 15. And I think you're fine there. I have to go with Mike Evans. Cannot sit him, and Worthy has not done enough consistently to show me something otherwise. Joseph, JMO, McLaurin, Evans, all 3 have upside, but McLaurin and Evans have a more stable floor, so I roll with them. Brendan, Rico Dowdle has more significant volume likelihood going on. And so I will go Rico Dowdle for that. And there's nothing wrong with Dowdle this week. Nothing wrong with him. Giles, good morning. Standard scoring, Neighbors, Dowdle, Javante, or JSN. I will go with Neighbors and Dowdle. I love Javante, and I do expect he's the guy, but we're just 2 weeks removed from having the rug pulled out of him, and it's not a risk you need to take with your other options. JSN, again, he's a great option, and he's close with Dowdle. Well, Smith and Jigba may have more upside than Dowdle. So, maybe we'll go Neighbors and Smith and Jigba because Big J and they about the same floors. Let's go that route. DK, Reed, and Jennings. Anna, it's difficult to trust Jennings with Brandon Allen. I don't know how much he's going to get to the outside with him. So I'm going to go with DK and Reed there. Chad, hey to you. Irving or Tracy? Tracy should get more volume. So I'm going to go with Tracy there. And he's looked really good. Need 1 of 3. Neighbors, DJ Moore, or DeAndre Hopkins. Really tough to sit Neighbors, but I'm going to go with Hopkins here. I do think against Carolina, he gets it done. Whereas Neighbors, again, just really wondering what we're going to get from Tommy DeVito. Shane, which one do you start? Knicks, Mahomes, or Mayfield? So Mayfield has been great this year, and he gets Evans back, so I do like him here. I have him as my quarterback 5. Knicks would have upside, but I don't know if they're going to need him against the Raiders. So Knicks is your boom bust guy, but Mayfield should be the way to go. Mahomes is a solid play this week, but again, they might be able to run the ball. They might not need him either. Brandon, I think I answered that. So where we go? Let me see. I think I'm clicking issues here. Here we go. I think I am here. There we go. All right. I answered Hopkins over Akers. I answered that one. David, Ramondre or Pollard? Oh, man, that's close. That's close. I think Stevenson has a slightly better matchup. So I will give Stevenson a very slight edge. But if you have a gut call on that, go with it. Wandale or Dobbs? I like Dobbs here, Cherie. Last week we didn't recommend Dobbs, but this week Charvarius Ward's out. So there's really no specific corner that'll deal with the X receiver. And so Dobbs should be okay here. Pedro, Murray or Daniels? Because it's possible Washington has so much success running, they may not need Daniels. I'm giving Murray the edge in what should be a higher scoring game. Stevenson or Irving, answer it for somebody. So we went with Stevenson and that one for volume. Stevenson for volume on that one. Irving is a great play, but Stevenson should get a little more volume here. Mateo, options for like Tracy, Lad McConkey, or Aaron Jones. All are great plays, obviously. Aaron Jones didn't play great, but the Bears matchup is positive. The Bears are better against the pass and the run. I'm going to give Aaron Jones the edge in this one. All right, so it looks like you're set. Okay. OC, pick 2 to start. McConkey, Sutton, or Downs. So I am going to lean Downs in Lad McConkey because I think both teams need to chase points. Cortland Sutton is a great matchup, but I don't know how much he's needed here. And all 3 of these players have shown upside. So I think Lad and Downs have probably better floor here. Pedro, Texans D or Tampa D? Now, Tampa won't be top 10 the rest of the way. I know their schedule is easy, but they're not a good defense. They send the blitzes, but their secondary is terrible. So, yeah, I don't think they're top 10 rest of the season. Top 15, yes, but the Texans' defense is still beat up. Will Anderson's back, but I don't think he's 100%. So this week I like Tampa. Wandale, DeMario, Douglas, McMillan, or Vele? Wandale, DeMario, and Vele are all good plays. Vele might not be needed much. I think Wandale could see the most targets of this group because when the blitz comes from Todd Bowles' defense, the hot read will be him. So I think Wandale's all right here. We're going to go with Akers, Matt, because Vele may not be needed too much if they get a lead. Vele has a great matchup. He has a phenomenal matchup, but they don't need him. Akers is getting like 8 to 11 touches a game. All right, let's see here. Fantasy Bro, Reed or Neighbors? That's a tough one. Neighbors is a higher floor. He's going to get forced targets. One way there, he's going to get 8 to 10 targets. He has a higher floor. The upside play, The potential for a big game would be Jaden Reed, but he hasn't had a lot of those. Neighbors is safer. I'm starting Hopkins in this one. Don't like Dobbins' matchup. Dell just hasn't had it consistently, and I think the defense he's facing, Tennessee can slow him a bit. Hopkins is, in my mind, the better play. TD only. Man, just score a touchdown. I'm going Hopkins and Hill. And Puka's beautiful. But, man, that Philly defense can bring it. I'm going to go with Tyreek and Hopkins, sir. All right. Oh, I got a super chat, and then I'll get back to Brian. All right. Super chat question from Anthony. Hey to you as well, Anthony. Jennings, McConkey, Odunze. I appreciate you very much, Anthony. Have a good Thanksgiving as well. So, lads in. Everybody's nicked up now. I'm not worried about that. Matchup should be a shootout. He's going to have plenty of looks. Ravens are bad. Your other one, these are both bad. Jennings has to deal with Brandon Allen, and I don't even know how many schemed up looks they're going to give to him because I think it really be a McCaffrey-centric game, little Kittle in there. So I don't like Odunze's matchup. But ultimately, the corners from Minnesota aren't great. The pressure is going to be a problem. It's going to be a problem for Caleb. I'm going to give Odunze a slight edge here because he has at least been showing a little connection, but I'm worried about Jennings because of his quarterback. Great question. All right, let's get back to the live questions here. Let's see if I can find my spot. I think am I on Brian here? Oh, yeah, I'm on Brian. So we're good here? Yes, perfect. Found my spot. Yay. And we got 4 minutes, so I got to rifle through. Packers or Miami D? I got to go with Miami D here. I got to go with Miami. They've been playing a little better on defense lately. The 49ers might not make many mistakes. DJ Moore or Dobbins, PPR. I'm going to go with Moore. A lot of the schemed up screens, that's what we loved. Westbrook, Akine, or Dell? Anna, I know Westbrook, Akine's been scoring the touchdowns. Dell is a higher floor. I'm going to give Dell the edge here. Richardson, May, Darnold, 2 for Superflex. We're going to go Richardson and May here. Darnold has a tougher matchup, and he's been showing some signs of regression. Ray, Connor, Nico, Evans, Harrison need a flex. Wait a minute, you only need one of those guys? Oh, you're starting. You Taylor or Hopkins? Taylor's down 3 linemen. Bad matchup. Half PPR. The half PPR hurts Hopkins. Half PPR, give me Taylor for volume. Yeah, that half PPR is a big deal. Moore or Dobbins? I'm going with Moore there. Oh, I answered these already, so let me see where I'm at. This thing's jumping on me here. There we go. There we go. Addison or Otten, you mean? Dowdle or Andrews? Need 9. I will rank them this way. I will go Andrews 1, Dowdle 2, Otten 3, Addison 4. QJ or Dobbins? It's going to sound foolish for me to say this. I'm going Quentin Johnson. They're going to have to throw. Baltimore blows coverages all the time. Julian, we're going to go with Hurts because he's just been dominant at the goal line. The Rams are not probably going to stop him. Hey, TJ, appreciate you. Thank you for subscribing. It means a lot to us. Chuba or Bucky? I think Chuba gets more volume. So we're going to go with Chuba for volume. And I think the Chiefs back off a little bit too. Gary, twin brother, yes. Secret weapon, beautiful. Oh, first pace, yes. Keep going, man. Keep rolling. All right, let's see here. Question-wise, yeah, I got a few questions here, and I got 1 minute, but I'm going to do the fastest answers just to get you going here. Let me see where I'm at. I can find this here. Oh man, where's the spot at? Here it is. All right, this is gonna be fast because I got to get out. To Metcalf, Neighbors, McConkey, Lamb. We are going Lamb and Metcalf and Jamo over Abdullah. We are going Thielen over Akine. We are going Estime over Mostert. Mostert 15% of the snaps the last 2 weeks. We are going Thielen over Liget. We are going Jonnu over Laporta. Bobby, we're going Hopkins, Bucky, and Dobbins. We are going Jonnu over Disley. I would make that trade. Otten or Ertz. And then Eckler over Douglas. I already answered that. Jennings, Harrison, Hubbard. You need 2. We're going with Hubbard and Harrison. My spot. All right. Ashley, good afternoon. Dowdle or Hubbard? Hubbard, a little more volume. Ertz is fine. He has a floor. Terry, thank you. Daniels is safer. I would go with the safer play. If you need huge upside, could be Richardson. Debo, McLaurin, or DK need 2. McLaurin and DK. John. I don't think I would. I don't think I would. Thielen, this week, yes, but going forward, I don't think so. Dr. Alberto, appreciate you. Nix has more upside, but he might not need to throw a lot. So I think Kyler's more stable. Giles, Neighbors, Donald, Javantes. You need 2. We're going to go with Neighbors and Smith and Jigba. We're going Thielen over Lockett. I'm going Love over Tua. We are going with the 2 Buccaneers. Tim going with Quentin Johnston. Going with McConkey. Oh, if you're worried, if you have any way think he might not play, I've heard nothing to go with that. But if you have any concern, then do it. But otherwise, I go McConkey. I go with Smith, more upside. I got to get out of here. Got to get ready for work. Kyler or Herbert? I'm going Herbert. Good luck to you. 2 Buccaneers. Jatavian is a great matchup. I'd still go with Disley. I go with Neighbors over McConkey. Don't have time. Sorry. Evans, definitely 100%. Tank Dell over Odunze. Go with Aaron Jones. James, have a great day. Everybody, good luck in your games. We'll talk to you soon. Back on Wednesday.